Summer routines live or die by how easy they are. And honestly, if something takes too much effort, I'm out. That's why Groons is my go-to. It's my one daily pack of gummies covering my greens, vitamins, and minerals. Plus, it has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, which is more than 2 cups of broccoli. No mixing powders, no giant pills, no hassle. I just rip open the pack and I'm done. They taste good and they make it easy to stay on top of my health, even when life gets busy. Save up to 52% with the code PODCAST at Groons.co. That's code PODCAST at GRUNS.co.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Rosen Sports Monday in this June beautiful morning here in the Twin Cities, post NBA Finals. How about that? Our winter sports are finally over. NBA championship, of course, done. And then Stanley Cup final ending last night with the Carolina Hurricane winning and clinching that. So the big party in New York. I got to tell you, I'll just give you a personal story. I mean, my mom was born in Brooklyn. So I always feel like, I have New York blood in me. So I found myself saying, it's not so much just the game, it's the games themselves, which were phenomenal for the most part, and how the Knicks were able to come back, especially from that 29-point deficit. But the post-celebration in New York City, looking at all these clips of Knicks fans dancing in the streets, and I think to myself, that to me, New York City is still the greatest city in the world. And the melting pot and how people came together, and maybe it's the great unifier what sports can do. And you forget about politics, you forget about everything else. Everyone's just hugging each other, and I can only imagine what the big parade's going to be Thursday in New York City. So, kudos, congrats to the Knicks. That's a real team that won over San Antonio. So, we got a great guest today. I'm really excited about it. First of all, I want to thank our sponsors. That's first and foremost Lexus of Wayzata, Lexus of Maplewood, our good friend Charlie Swanson. I love driving my Lexus RX. My wife Karen driving the NX around right now. So best driving car I've ever had in my life. Minnesota Twins, thank you as always for your sponsorship. And Lucy Nicotine Pouches, we want to thank you, of course, for your sponsorship as well. A good friend of mine, a former co-worker for many, many years, is with us today, otherwise known as Amelia's better half. Frankie Vascellaro is with us. And Frank, man, I'm so happy you're here. Good to see you. It's been a little while anyway, but to be able to chat about your life and where you are, thanks for joining us.
Are you kidding? Thrilled, Rosie. Man, this is awesome. I'm so happy to see you as well. So,
well, Amelia was on the podcast a while back, and it was wonderful, and I wanted to get you on. And Amelia just celebrated. We were just talking before we started our podcast. Amelia was celebrating, and I sent out a little video that a bunch of us did for her 30-year anniversary at WCCO. And you just, on Friday, I turned to my wife and went, Frank's 20th is today. I had no idea. And it kind of catches up to you. Does it feel like 20 years? That's, I'm snapping my fingers on that. That's nothing, but it's a big deal.
Yeah, time flies. It is, and it is nothing compared to you.
Well, that's
my wife, and but we're so fortunate. We have so many people, so much longevity at that station, and institutional knowledge, and living our lives here in the Twin Cities. But it flew by. I remember the day I walked in there.
Yeah,
and seeing you and Don and giving you guys a hug, and
man,
there's my wife, and now we're all working together.
Well, we were just talking before we started our podcast that my son, who was in town last week, who, believe it or not, is already 40, which boggles my mind. Nick, you were at his high school graduation at my house on 48th and Emerson.
Yep.
In 2004, and you were at CARE at that time.
Yep.
You were with Amelia, but you weren't with Amelia working. So that was it was 2004. And I'm going, oh my God, now I have a 40-year-old kid. This is crazy.
And like I told you, I still remember the hot dogs that were after. They were fantastic. It's strange the things we remember.
It is. Yeah. And that's so true.
Yeah, it was a great party.
So to go back, and as our good friend Chris Schaefer likes to say, back in our old hot tub time machine, getting back to your background, and I know I've heard some of the stories, I haven't heard all of them, how people get into this crazy business and stay in it. I don't think broadcast journalism was on the top of your list when you were high school, college, you had other things on your mind, right?
I did, but you know what? In retrospect, I look back and it was in my roots, and it was, it made all the sense in the world now that I think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it probably did. But put the pieces together for us.
So I get out of school, out of the University of Colorado, and
go Buffs.
Go Buffs.
Always a Buff, once a Buff,
and Buffs forever. And God bless Dion, like Moses, leading us out of the desert.
It's Coach Prime to you,
back to the promised land. So I went to go work in Chicago as a stockbroker. I worked at Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers. I had nothing to do with either of their failure, for those who remember history. Yes. But, I had friends who were working there, and I knew Chicago really well. And all my extended family was in Rockford, Illinois. And I went to go work there, and I did okay, but not great. And I didn't love it. And then, the thing that my dad died, Rosie, when I was 26. And my dad had a job he loved. He was an airline pilot, and not an educated guy. My dad was a high school grad, World War II vet, and he was so smart. He was a mechanic. He would go out to the Greater Rockford Airport, and he'd find rich guys like you who owned airplanes.
That's Shelby.
Yeah, and he'd go, "I'll tell you what, I'll maintain your aircraft." Because a Cessna, a Piper, you have to do 100-hour checks on them and a lot of maintenance to have them FAA certified. And he said the trade will be, I'll do the maintenance for free. You teach me how to fly it and give me the time to fly the plane. And that's how he became a pilot. Little by little.
That's a hell of a story.
Yeah, right.
Success story.
Show some ambition and some gumption, and it was a good plan. So then he went and worked for a small transport airline, and then he actually got hired by Eastern Airlines back in the day when they used to be a big thing. The week I'm born, he loses his job, like I'm the Black Omen, right?
Oh boy,
they had a strike. So then he ended up getting hired with Frontier, and we moved to Denver, and that's why I was there. But the old Frontier. So. Right. Anyway, my father dies. I'm a relatively young man, and I'm like, my dad loved his job. He did something he really wanted to do. I don't really want to do this. What do I want to do? And I kind of thinking about it, every night, and you'll love this, on a black and white television.
Oh man, you're not that old.
12 inches we would watch the nightly news.
Yeah.
And I was history and poli-sci major. I mean, I was interested in, how things work and why things work and the civics about what they do. And I was a news junkie, even though I didn't know it, or that was a term back then. And I was like, I'm curious. I'm like, I want to be a reporter. I think that's what's in my gut.
The light bulb went off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm living in Chicago at the time, and I went to Northwestern and DePaul and University of Chicago. And I was like, can I take some classes? Can I audit some classes? I had a degree, and they're like, no, you need to take a 4-year degree. And I'm like, I'm 26 years old.
I'm not doing this again.
Right. So I found a place called Columbia College, which is in South Chicago, right by the old Hilton, where
exactly where you're talking
where the
about.
Fantastic 68 riots were back in the day.
Oh, I remember.
And Columbia was great. It was like a trade school. So one of my teachers is a producer at Fox. One is the chief meteorologist. One of them is a reporter. And I signed up, and it was like going to trade school. I mean, that's all you did. It was like, it was like Brown University.
University here in Minneapolis.
And I did that, and I got an internship in Champaign, Illinois, which was the final kind of test. Like, can I do this? Can I hang? And I did, and I was successful at that. And then I just drove around all the upper Midwest, small markets, Rockford, Terre Haute, Indiana, Evansville. And I would go in person unannounced because my resume looked so weird. Right? I mean, it
sounds like
it looks like I'm trying to join the Foreign Legion. Like, what did you do? What did you do wrong that you want a $14,000 a year entry-level reporter job after you used to work in Chicago for two big, huge Wall Street firms? And I would walk in there with my resume, and I'd be like, hey, this is legit, and I want to do this. Yeah. And I, after about 6 weeks of trial and error and anxiety, I got a couple offers. I actually got 3 offers in one day. On a Friday. I'll never forget it. I was sitting in Chicago, and I took the one in Decatur, Illinois, and I went to Decatur, did a couple years there.
As a reporter, anchor, or just reporter?
As a reporter, then anchor, weekend anchor. And then I went to Peoria, and I was the main anchor there. And the great thing is, if it plays in Peoria, and then I ran into Belinda Jensen at a football game.
Come on.
at the Wisconsin-Colorado football game in September of 95, 96. And she was like, I work at this station in Minneapolis, and her husband and I went to college. So that's how I.
Oh, that's the connection. Yeah.
And Belinda's like, you should apply to Minneapolis, which wasn't even on my radar.
That's a big step up at that point.
I applied I sent my tape in September. I had an interview in October. I was here in November.
No kidding.
And nothing happens that quick in the TV business.
No, it sure doesn't.
So anyway, that's how I got here. You didn't know that story?
I didn't know.
Weird?
I didn't know I knew part of it. I didn't know the Belinda part of it.
Yeah, Belinda was and God bless Belinda, because then we actually ended up doing that Saturday show together.
Oh,
and became best of friends. And I owe Belinda a lot, not only my job, but then one day she's walking her dog. She's like, hey, there's this little house over here. I was living in this apartment with my 2 dogs. And she's like, I found this house. You should come look at it. I bought the house. So,
well, you owe Belinda a lot.
I owe Belinda a lot. And I can't believe she just retired. Talking about time
she did.
flying.
In fact, she's doing a podcast, a little plug-in with Lee Valsvik
nice.
that she's doing on these on Talking About Sports here. So
I
know it's already getting a lot of attention, and we'll all be listening. In fact, I might even be a guest this week.
Fun.
Rumor has it. So there you are, and single guy, right? I mean, kind of living the life, fulfilling your dream, making a few bucks, just enough to pay some bills.
Yeah.
And end up buying a house, and end up here in the Twin Cities at Care.
Yeah.
And were you just reporting at that time where you started?
No, they hired me as a morning anchor.
Morning anchor.
Yeah.
So that overnight stuff.
Yeah. So that's the tough part, right? Is you don't have a lot of social life. And those were tough hours. So I did mornings at Care for 7 years. And then was literally at the point where I was like, I don't know if I think I need to do something else.
Yeah.
Because it's so unnatural and so hard.
It's hard on your body.
It is. Like, I remember one day, the only good part about it was great for our kids, right? So now Amelia and I get married. So Amelia got here in May. I got here about 6 months later in October, November. We met in December at an event, and then we would get married 2 years later and then start having kids. So the only great part about it was that someone was always home, right? So I was the mom during the day because Amelia at night, Amelia would go to work at WCCO in the evenings, and I would be home in the afternoons, and I would call her panicked and, how do I heat up this milk? I can't believe we're having twins.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
I was Mr. Mom. I'd pack them all up and take, 2 dogs and 3 kids to the park every day. And, it was crazy. It was fun times.
Getting back to the early part of the relationship, like most relationships, I can't imagine it was smooth sailing the entire time before you eventually got married. I mean,
well, you know that very well.
I think I know part of that story, but I mean, like all of us, I mean, come on, it's not some sort of fantasy world we live in, but you're both in the business. It's very stressful. You have a lot of your own individual goals in mind. Now you're going to be a couple, and how's this going to work? And we're going to have kids, and wow, that's a lot on your plate, and you have to make it work.
Once I finally committed to the idea, it was all great. It was great. But it was a fun, different time. So,
well, now there was a guy named Paul Majors who was over at Care at that time,
right? Yeah,
so main anchor.
Paul's the main anchor, and I'm there. And like I said, I was like, the only thing that kept me going was great for our kids. But I remember driving through a stop sign just because I was so exhausted, just tired, because you get up every day at 2:30 in the morning, and then you work to 11, and then you here in the summer the sun goes down at 9:30, and I should have been in bed an hour ago, and just over time it just wears on you. And I was like, there's got to be more than just being the morning guy. And I was like, Paul's never going to leave. Like, I got to start maybe thinking about doing something else. And then lo and behold, Paul left. And then they had that was a big to-do back in the day. Mm-hmm. And then I took Paul's spot as the evening anchor and sat next to Diana Pierce and with Ken Barlow and Randy Shaver. And I did that for 2 years.
So what was the tug with WCCO then? How did they get you over to decide to come over to join your wife and the rest of us over at CCO?
I kind of always thought that someone would do something. Like I wondered, like, would Care approach Amelia and go, maybe we should do this, or would WCCO? Because it only kind of made sense, right? In this market.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if it would work in Philly, right? Or New York or Baltimore. But I mean, having a husband and wife who get along, anchoring the news together in Minnesota sounds like a pretty good no-brainer, right?
It sure does. Sure did.
So, you see, my deal was coming up after 2 years at CARE, and we were really successful. And they had just hired Julie Nelson about a year before. So then the writing's on the wall. They're not going to bring someone else in because they got Julie. And WCCO approached me, and I sat out 6 months of a non-compete and then went and worked over there.
Yeah, there's a guy named Don Shelby that was still at WCCO at that time. So what did you, was it anchoring the early show with Amelia?
Well, what happened. Don did something that's unheard of in the TV business. Like people.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. There's two games in TV and radio too, or in the podcasting world. Beat everybody else, right, in your market. Mm-hmm. And then people don't realize internally there's competition too. You've got people with
a lot of insecurities, a lot of egos.
Ego. Some people are insecure. A lot of egos. Like, why am I not doing that story? And why did we send Rosie to that story? And why is he getting a promo? And why? It's kind of crazy, But you have competitive people, and people want airtime and FaceTime. And Don was doing the 6 and 10 back then, and it was unheard of. He said, "I'll stop doing the 6 so we can get the married couple doing it together."
How about that?
And he sat me down, had a conversation, goes, "This is what I want to do." And I was like, "You don't have to do that." And he was like, "No, makes sense. We want to have Frank and Amelia, the married couple, anchoring a show together." And he gave up his slot, and I sat in, which is unheard of.
It is unheard of, and it tells you a lot about Don and the kind of man and person he is. Because with all his quirkiness, and we all like to poke fun at Shelby for lots of reasons because he likes to talk a lot. He's got a heart of gold.
Yeah.
And, one of those guys, we always say in a pinch, if this happened, and I don't even have to talk to Don all that often, but I try to. If I had to call one person, say, "Look, this is what's going on in my life. I have a really bad thing going on." Well, I did with my wife, Denise, as you know. And Don would be the first person I'd call because he's just there for people. Some people are just better at it. I'm not as good at it as he is, and he's salt of the earth.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it comes to that.
Yeah.
So you started working with Amelia, and I remember, obviously, for many, many years when I was sitting across from you guys, not just a question of working and anchoring with her. You're literally sitting almost like side by side during the course of the afternoon, the night, as the newscast is getting prepared, as we're doing promos or doing the rest of the stuff. And you have a life. One of you may be going home when the kids were younger to see them at nighttime, but you're still in the throes of, you're seeing each other a lot, and you're talking about a lot of stuff. And I don't remember, honestly, all the times, I don't remember too many, I'm sure that you guys were pissed at each other once in a while, or, but you both have those, have that kind of personality.
Yeah.
But it worked, and that's really hard to do when you spend so much time together. Is it, or was it not?
It is and it isn't, because if you think about it, it's like, we're all lucky. Friend. We all got along great. You and Amelia are super close, and Don, and you guys were very kind to me because I was the outsider coming in. But it's actually better to have two people who know one another, as opposed to going, let's get two strangers and sit them closer than you and I are right now and say, have chemistry and work together and make it, So, the great part about it is that, when I screw up, which is daily, I'm told,
yes,
you screwed up,
messed up that word.
Right. But in a much more loving way. And I can say to her, you can't sit down next to someone and go, "God, I never would have. Why didn't you rewrite that?" Or "Why would you deliver it like that?" Or "Couldn't you missed an opportunity to do that." If you say that to someone who's a total stranger, who's just your coworker, they're not going to receive that well.
No, 100%.
And I see it and I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. Or I argue with her and she argues with me and we hash it out,
Yeah.
And then the other benefit, Rosie, is the good part is when she's really angry and hostile with me, you've gotta, you should get this figured out because we're going to be on TV together.
The red light's going on in a couple of minutes.
Right.
The lights are going to be hot.
This is a married man. That there's some stuff that you've done wrong. And it could have been 3 weeks or 3 months ago stuff that you did wrong that she's bringing up that you don't know. So
Amelia, I know her personality pretty well too. So that's
we're forced to kind of deal with it and hash it out.
I always wonder, I mentioned my son, Nick, who's 40 now, and my kids obviously grew up with me being, in the spotlight. And, people would go up to my daughter Chloe and say, can your dad get Randy Moss's autograph for me, and all this other stuff. And, they got exposed to it a lot of ways, and we'd go out to dinner. And, listen, I always appreciated and to this day, I still appreciate when people come up and say, hi, either I miss you on TV or whatever the case may be. But we are, because of the nature of what we do for a living, kind of the celebs in the Twin Cities, for lack of a better term. And it can be tough on kids who don't know better, but they know that their mom and dad are on TV and everybody knows who they are. How was that? How did your kids handle you guys being, whether you go to the grocery store or whatever you're doing, just doing normal things?
Yeah. Just fine. They were good. They were great about it. We never had an issue, and the early years when we first got together, there were so many stories that they did about us and our family and our kids. And they centered around a news book,
Yes.
How to pick a school, which we were doing. Different parenting styles. And Amelia and I are much different. Amelia would be a really great commandant of a prison camp.
Wow.
And I'm much more lax.
That's harsh.
Yeah. It's true. You know her.
I do.
And I'm much more lax. So that's a big clash and a big conflict. And that's a real life thing that a lot of people do, right? Like, were you
right
the mean
with you.
parent, or were you the more lenient parent?
I was the lenient one, because when I would go home, when Chloe was young, I would want to go home. When I didn't go home as many times as I even wanted to, but I'd read Chloe a story, and Denise would come in and go, she's got to go to bed right now. You got to stop reading right now. I went, I'm just almost done with the story. You got to go. She's got to go to bed. I would not be happy about it, but that's the life that
you're on. Chapter 9.
I'm on chapters.
There's 10 chapters.
Exactly. But yeah, and now your kids are all grown and they're out of the house.
Yeah.
And they're doing the thing. I can't believe it.
So
we got the twins, you got
Sam.
Sam.
To the original thing, we did so many of them when they were little. And then as they got a little bit older,
right.
Then we were like, you know what, let's stop this for a while so they can have a little more normalcy. So they're not on TV, and we did.
Right.
And then we didn't do you didn't see them until they got to about high school. And then we could go to them and go, hey, they're interested in doing a story on this, and they were much more high school related issues, mental health, screen time,
right.
Dealing with, anxiety. And then we would say to them, do you want to be on this story? Do you want to do it? And then they were fine with it. And then we did those stories.
Well, and it's nice that you guys were a conduit to everyday problems and issues that parents face all the time, especially right now with cell phones and social media and peer pressure and all the things that go on with that. It is good that you guys were able to represent, just normal people doing normal family things.
Yeah. And we did those stories again from early, and then there was a gap and then later on, like literally now you're going to become an empty nester, huge change of life. How do people deal with being an empty nester? Which is something all of them deal with. So right. I think, and we always made it clear to them, like, your mom and dad just have cool jobs, right? Yeah. But there's a lot of people with cool jobs, and this is a normal life. It doesn't entitle you to anything more, these are still the expectations. And it worked out fine.
Yeah.
And one of the best things, and this is totally tied to you and you get this, is, I don't know if people know that, your mother and my mother were the best of friends and it was such a gift that they met each other later in life.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. I'm going to take a break right now and hear from our sponsors, but it's a connection that Frank and I will have forever and ever. I know we'll both get emotional talking about our moms. Pardon both of us if we start crying, because they both meant to us obviously so much as our own moms, but collectively, arguably one of the biggest thrills of our career. So you're listening to a Rosen Sports Money with Frank Vascellaro. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hey, Rosie here for Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood. As I have told you, I recently purchased a new Lexus RX, and it is fantastic. The best car I've ever driven. Lots of room for a tall guy like me, and it just drives like a dream. Charlie Swanson and his staff have been so good to me, and I can't say enough about the wonderful treatment I've received from the service department to the people at the front desk. They're all very welcoming. We purchased an all-gas model, but keep in mind it also comes in a hybrid and a plug-in hybrid. And I think my wife is going to do an NX Lexus this spring. So go to Lexus of Wayzata or Lexus of Maplewood and come and see what they have that works for you.
Here is where it all starts. Here's where pages are turned and new legends are written. Here's where kids become lifelong fans and lifelong fans become kids. Here's where sunsets last longer, happy hour tastes better, and summer hits its stride. And when all of Twins territory stands together and believes hard enough, well, there's no place like here. Get your tickets at twins.com.
I've talked about Lucy before because my friends keep telling me it's their new go-to pouch. Well, here's the update. Now it's even easier to try because you can grab Lucy at Quick Trip. A bunch of them have tried them all, and now Lucy is their new go-to. They call them top-notch lip pillows, and honestly, they say it's the best pouch experience they've ever had. The flavors are strong and actually last. Mint, apple ice, mango, espresso, berry citrus, and apple cider. Not sure where to start? Grab the 6-pack and try them all. And the real difference is Lucy Breakers. Each pouch has a little breaker ball inside. You bite into it, and you get an extra burst of flavor with a smooth nicotine kick that lasts longer. Lucy is smooth, long-lasting, and doesn't dry out. Give them a try. Get 20% off your first order when you buy online at lucy.co/Rosen with promo code Rosen. That's lucy.co/Rosen with promo code Rosen. And if you don't want to wait, check out their store locator to find where you can pick up Lucy at your nearest Quick Trip today. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every customer is age verified. Warning, this product does contain nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. And welcome back to Rosen Sports Monday with my good friend and I hate to say former coworker, but we'll be friends for life. Frank Vascellaro is here. And we ended our first section talking about, you mentioned your mom, my mom, and how they not only became great friends, which pleased us to no end, and then became TV stars in their own right and became they had like a cult following. The grannies talking about the Grammys or the Oscars, and the two of them together,
or the Vikings,
sitting side by side on the couch, talking like bubbies and grandmas would, just resonated with people. And the pride that we had watching them together. I mean, I know they became good friends. They socialized outside of that, but it was magic, Frank. It really was.
They won an Emmy.
They won an Emmy, and I was at an event. I was emceeing an event that I got a tip on that they were going to win that night, and so I'm at the event hosting it, and my mom was there, and I interrupted. I said, "Well, the Emmys are going on right now," and they gave me the envelope and said, "The winner is, the Grammys. Go to the Grannies." And my mom was there, and of course your mom. And I gave her I was one of the biggest thrills of my life to actually hand my mom an Emmy award, which was just like I
was so bummed out because I was at a different event that night.
I know you were,
they were so happy.
Yeah,
and it was so fun, and you were happy. It was great.
But how special was that? I mean, you talk about the uniqueness of all our stories at WCCO in particular, and what happened. To have that as a byproduct of our careers. I mean, you can't make it up. I mean, this never happens in the business.
Yeah, we were really fortunate. Awesome,
yeah,
they were
natural.
That and the fact they found each other and had a real true friendship, and it was awesome. It was really magical. It was great. And I was so happy for both of them.
Our dear friend Tracy Perlman, who worked at Channel 4 for a long time, produced a lot of those segments, and they were so good together because your mom was kind of like naive about some of the stuff that was going on in the business. And my mom would go, no. It was, she'd say, and then they'd play off each other so well. But more importantly, obviously, the viewers got a real kick out of it because they could see their own moms or grandmas through the eyes of our moms.
Yeah, it was really genuine, authentic stuff.
Yeah,
it was great.
It really was. It was a pleasure to do all that.
Really,
and
great.
I know part of what we do and what we've done at WCCO in particular, and we all do when we get a name for ourselves, we get asked to do lots of events, charity events, and you and Amelia have been very present in a lot of things and how important it is to be giving back to this community. And
yeah, you too.
No, I mean we have. I mean it's something that, I mean, I'm not saying it's passionate because it makes you feel so good when you help raise money for a lot of, we are faces of the Twin Cities a lot of times. So how meaningful has that been for you in terms of what you've done?
I love it. Yeah. I mean, I started it early and got asked to do a couple things and kind of fell into the auctioneering thing, which was really funny and kind of crazy. I want to hear
more about that.
It was
you
good.
went to auctioneer school.
It's a good story. But before that, I didn't. And so, yeah, and there's so many good causes, and this is a high volunteer state and a high giving community, and there's a lot of needs out there and a lot of great organizations, and these are really great, genuine people wanting to do some real good to help others, and it's the greatest feeling ever, right?
So you went to auctioneer school.
I did.
What was that
Continental School of Auctioneering.
I didn't know there was
Mankato, Minnesota.
Okay, so you did some research to find out that there's a couple of them around, and
there's two. There's Worldwide in Iowa, and then there was Continental in Mankato. And I told my wife, and she was not happy because we had 3 really little kids. I'm like, I need to take a week off of work, and I need to go to the Best Western in Mankato.
So was it a 1 week intense
class?
That's what it was
at the hotel.
Wow.
Yeah. And Sunday through Saturday or Sunday. It was 5 or 6 days.
I've worked with X number of auction over the years. Obviously, there's some really good ones, but you think of the one, the people who talk, 100 miles an hour, and then there are other ones who are just really good at raising money, getting people to raise their hands as they put things up for bid. Where were you when were you able to do both, or was it?
Would you like to hear the silly story?
I do.
Okay,
that's why it's a podcast. We have nothing but time.
So, remember the old Thunderbird Hotel across from the airport in Bloomington?
Of course I remember.
Right? Okay.
Too many memories there.
So,
some I don't want to repeat.
Amelia and I are, that's what we should be talking about.
No, that's okay.
Amelia and I are dating at the time. All right. And so, when you're dating, you're trying to do everything you can to impress your girlfriend, right?
Well, of course.
I mean, I don't open the car door for my wife anymore, but back then I'd open her door and thoughtful dinner, flowers, I'm trying to impress her, right? I'm into her. I'm trying to impress her. So she is going to a event related to the airport, to what would eventually be MAC at the time, the Metropolitan Airport Commission. They're having an event, and she's the MC. Okay. And it's at the Thunderbird, and I'm just her guest. I'm just the +1 guy. So we go to this event, and the organizer of the event goes up to Amelia and goes, "Oh my God, the auctioneer just called, and I can't, sick, car accident."
Sure.
The auctioneer's not showing. Half an hour before the event.
Oh my.
Okay. And he's like, "Can you do it?" And she's like, "No." And she's like, "Well, you have to do it. Like, how else are we going to do it? Like, we've got these 8 auction items. We're here to raise money. You've got to do it." And I had 2, maybe 3 vodka tonics. I don't know, Rosie. And I was like, I think I could do it, and maybe this would really impress my new girlfriend. So I didn't immediately, but I thought about it, and I said, I'll do the auction. Never done anything like that before in my life. Went up there and did it. And it was a solid 3 out of 10. It was serviceable. It was okay. It was okay. It wasn't great by any means. It wasn't even good. It was okay. And, this is a big, small town. And I had some friends, and someone said a month later, "Hey, I heard you can do an auction. Heard you do pretty well at that. And we're doing our Cancer Kids Fund auction." Mm-hmm. It was Mark and Claudia Cohen. They're like, "We'd like you to do this." And I was like, okay. Because now I can practice, right, and try to figure some stuff out. So I did, and then I did that, and then someone saw it, and I did another one. And then I did that for maybe 6 months or a year, a few here and there. And then I remember going up to do theirs, and it was a huge crowd. And this is their nut. This is their big deal of the year. Mm-hmm. And I got up on that stage, and I was panicked. And I don't panic too much, but I was a little freaked out. Yeah. I mean, it was 600 people, big crowd. And the MC part I could handle easily, but so anyway, I did it. It worked. And I said, I'm not doing this again until I'm formally trained,
really good at it,
understand, practice, know the nuance of it, and can be really skilled at doing that. So I told Amelia, I found Continental School of Auctioneering. I have to go to Mankato. Good luck taking care of all these 3 kids. And I left and I did it, and I became a certified charity auctioneer.
What was the difference between when you were scared to do it and doing it, and then really professionally learning how to do it. What's the key part of it? Other than you're not one that talks like you're auctioning off stock or cattle.
No, I mean, you don't go that fast, but you go, you want to get a call.
Pace.
Hey, but now, you want to get some kind of call, right? That's
there's
important.
a rhythm to your
people want that, but really more importantly, like when I do them now, and I did 8 this year, and charity season, April and May are really busy because in June people aren't around. The only charity stuff that happens really in June, July, and August in Minnesota are golf tournaments.
Correct.
On Monday.
Yep.
The prep, the prep's the key. What do we have? What orders are going to be in? How are we going to present it? What kind of videos do we have to support it? So, I mean, I work hard. So the day of is really just more execution, right? Like anything, you're putting together, a show for either your podcast or your radio show. You've got notes in front of you. You've prepped it. You're doing a big Super Bowl show. You've got producers. You prep it. So if I have the time to prep it, that's good. And then I've done it now for, more than 20 years. So the actual calling part of it, I'm energized by that. That doesn't bother me or scare me.
That's so cool.
But I freaked out back then.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy I did it. And it's a nice thing to be able to do. And
you can do it for as long as you want.
Yeah. It's really, really fun.
Yeah.
And the result is really, really positive for the organization. And, it's fun when people are generous. And I've had some disasters and some bad scenes and some horrible stuff. And I've done some really, really cool stuff too.
Yeah, raised a lot of money.
Really cool.
From a professional standpoint, I can't imagine almost local anchors being more involved in some of the biggest stories in the nation than what you guys have been involved with the last years. I mean, maybe even the 35W bridge, but obviously George Floyd, COVID, ICE. I mean, just it seems like we had
Portman. Annunciation.
Well, I'll get into that in a second. But just
Metro Surge.
Sadly, had the 1-year anniversary of the assassinations of Melissa. But I know your wife can be very emotional on air, and it's hard not to be when you get involved in some of these stories. But just about the big picture of night after night and broadcast after broadcast, as I mentioned, the big ones, whether it's George Floyd or COVID or the ICE surge, whatever it is, just maintaining kind of semblance of not just neutrality, but just your own saneness, giving this news out there night after night. It's not like covering, ribbon cuttings and, whatever it might be that we all seen on the local news.
Yeah.
We were center of the universe, basically the country here.
For a lot of things.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was tough. And that's all relative, right? I mean, but I mean, emotionally, it was tough on people, and tough on our crew and tough on our staff. And I think that happens at every station. Mm-hmm. I think it happened at the newspaper. I mean, because you're just in it constantly. There's no escape. If you're at home, you're like, I'm going to watch Netflix because I
need to get away from this.
I can't handle another night of Minneapolis burning, and so it was a difficult time. I mean, I'm amazed at that because in our business, you're like, as a local person, you're going to get one, quote unquote Super Bowl, one mega huge event, and we've had 5. And then a couple tangential ones that were close to it, and it's just kind of unheard of that we've been in these major, major stories for this long.
Is it hard not to take it home with you? I mean, the newscast ends at 10:30, the network goes on and you go home. But I mean, there's sometimes, I'm sure some nights where you just can't take the eraser and go, okay, I'm moving on to something else. Or do you find you needed to get an escape from all of that some way?
Yeah, in a real honest moment, I'll share this with you. After all of them, I usually kind of go home and, even going home during George Floyd was crazy. I literally had a piece of paper that I would have to show back from the state so I could get through the National Guard checkpoint to get home at, sometimes 2 a.m, 3, because we were on the air and it's just, that was just so surreal and so weird. But after all of them, I would go back and go like, okay, what did we do well? What could we do a little bit better? Who did I see that's going to need some encouragement the next day? You know, how are people handling it? And always kind of thinking like, how do you move the ball forward? That was always kind of my mentality because I was like, we were in it, you know?
Yeah. I don't think people realize sometimes, and I know the reporters that have to go through it day after day after day that, I mean, and I know that I'm sure the station helped provide that too, that you do need sometimes mental health checkups to kind of get you through some stuff like this because it's some pretty heavy crap that you're going through.
I would say the station has been great about it. About here's some resources, literally actually bringing people in. During Metro Surge, we had 4 crews, one from CBS stations, one from Chicago, one from New York, one from San Francisco, and one from LA who came in. And because, you know, stories that had a lot of nuance and were you know, went back months in time, we wouldn't put down those stories. But hey, just go cover this rally. You know, any reporter could do that. And it was great because our people just needed a break because it's like, you've worked now 11 days straight and that's not healthy and that's not good. And I can tell you're freaking out. So they'd bring them in and they brought resources in and they did a lot of stuff to help people. And it was
so important.
It was good.
As a viewer, the one that, now that I'm at home watching the news and the one that hit you guys the hardest was the Annunciation shooting. There's no doubt about it. And,
for sure.
And I found it important that you guys kind of, you know, bared your soul a little bit to talk about from a personal standpoint, how this hit you, because you knew a lot of the families there and everything that went on. And I think it was relatable to people. How difficult was that for you and Amelia in particular as the anchors to talk about it and feel it and not get any more involved than you were because you talked about it. It was very personal.
It was really, really hard. And that's what I was kind of alluding to earlier.
Yeah.
Like every night during all these other things, I'd always go home and go, you know, again, what can we do better? How at Annunciation, Rosie, it was the first time ever in my career that I went home and I thought to myself, I'm not sure I want to do this anymore.
Really?
Yeah. I got done doing, there were a couple things where like literally Amelia was crying on the set and so was I. So for some context, Annunciation's just a few blocks from our house.
Yeah.
And our kids, if our kids weren't playing with Annunciation kids, they were playing against them, depending on what league, you know, are we in the summer, are we in the fall? Mm-hmm. So we knew all these people. And I've been in that church and that school and that gym countless times. So, I mean, it was really personal. And we got done doing the 6:00 news the night of, and I just, you know, we kind of shut everything down, and I just sat there and I just started crying, just like spontaneously crying, you know, and like I didn't
off the air.
Yes,
when
like
the newscast had just ended.
But you know, like when you're gonna cry, you kind of feel it coming. Like I didn't even feel it coming; it just kind of
boom.
And I started crying. And anyway, that night I was home and I was like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this for the rest of my life. And that was the only time I've ever thought that.
Well, especially a story that was not going to end in 24 hours. I mean, this was a continuation and you had to talk about it and refresh people's memories.
We've got the anniversary coming up in 2 months.
God, already. Unreal. So, yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to get too heavy or too deep, but I mean, it really affected me more than others. And I think that's normal, right? Because it's children and it's innocence and it's senselessness. And no one ever thinks.
No, it happened here.
Right. It's a bright sunny day. You're sending your kid off to school and now we're dealing with this.
So now you're anchoring the 10 o'clock by yourself. Your wife is out gallivanting around, having dinners with girlfriends. And it's interesting. They broke up the team a little bit, but that's okay. Good for Amelia, right? I mean, you guys are doing the 6 o'clock together with Maxie and
yeah,
Chris,
it's great for her. Yeah, and I do the 4 o'clock. I'm either in the 4 or I'm, like last week I did it a couple times with her, which is really, really great fun.
You realize she's been an anchor around your for all these years that it's like, I'm finally free of this nonsense. I get to do this by myself.
Yeah, no, she's
loving it.
I was really concerned about it,
Yeah.
But I was just concerned like, oh my God, what's going to happen to our ratings? And but we haven't had any erosion.
That's good.
And during the surge, we actually did better, because people were interested and they tuned in more. I mean, it's so fractured now, as you know, but when big stuff happens, they watch us, which is great. And then we've got a lot of loyal folks who watch anyway. But anyway, nothing happened, and she is so much happier. And I can deal with it a little bit better. Like she needed the mental health break, I think, even more than I did.
Yeah.
And it's great. I mean, the idea was, let's help our 4:00 show a little bit, and let's still keep the team together. And my wife, she goes to dinner with you. She goes to movies. She doesn't bat an eye of looking at me. Good luck. Have a good show. Bye.
I'll be watching. No, maybe not.
Good luck. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna have a glass of wine.
Nothing lasts forever, and I've always, you mentioned at the beginning, WCCO is going back to my early days with Dave Moore and the people, bigger than life personalities that really represent Twin Cities in so many ways, and working with Shelby all those years and you guys. You ask yourself how much longer I want to do this. I mean, you're having fun, you're still enjoying it. That, there is life after TV, obviously, but at the same time, you don't have to be in any rush. I mean, you got your own plans I'm sure for yourself and how you want to spend. You mentioned you're going to go do a little fly fishing here pretty soon.
I am, yeah.
It got me interested going, man, God, that sounds fantastic. But I'm at that stage of my life now. I'm doing this, I'm doing some radio, I'm doing Viking pregame shows, but man, I love having my nights off. We're going to travel more. Karen gets more time for herself, and it's life's short. I mean, you know it. And you want to spend time with your kids, adult kids, and it's all kind of a puzzle you have to put together.
You're in a great spot. I mean, because you still get to be a hand in and stay active without having to be a full-time gig.
100%.
It's really, really wonderful. I'm happy for you.
Well, I appreciate that. This is a lot of fun. I've been able to talk to people, not just in sports, obviously, and podcasts are everywhere these days. But I think people enjoy listening to conversations. I mean, everything's a 30-second soundbite in our world that we live in, or on our phones. We're looking at social media and everything. You don't know what's real, what isn't real. And I think a podcast, especially when they're well done or having fun, I'm hoping people have been listening to this, are a great extension of what we can do now with our time and personalizing things.
Yeah,
fun.
They're great because you can go deeper.
Yeah,
you get to see some authenticity. You get to have some fun.
100%.
You ask great questions.
Well, and
we've got good stuff like between our lives together and our moms and our children and our co-workers.
Yeah, it's a special feeling, and I appreciate it all the time, and appreciate your time today, Frank. It's been great.
My pleasure.
I really enjoyed having you.
Thank you, Rosie. This is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. My best to your kids, and they're doing well. I mean, kiddos are doing well.
Yeah.
Kiddos.
Remember. It's so fun,
watch them be grown people now.
Yeah, to be able to go out to dinner and all have a couple drinks together and some laughs and the stuff we talk about. I mean, it's a real joy.
It is, and so that's our lesson to all you parents out there with maybe young kids. Enjoy every level of this, because all of a sudden you turn around, and in my case, they're 40 bleeping years old. And Nick is educating me on Steven Spielberg movies and what I should be looking for. And I mean, it's amazing transition that you go through. But I want to appreciate, again, thanks to our sponsors, Lexus of Wayzata and Maplewood, the Twins, Lucy Nicotine Pouches, and more importantly for you for listening to Rosen's Sports Monday. I may not be here next Monday because I'm having knee replacement surgery. That might be the best podcast I ever do if they get me right after the surgery, because I'll be higher than a kite. Numbed up. So
are you worried? Are you concerned?
No, I've had it done once before, the other knee 11, 12 years ago.
I remember that well.
But, and then I remember your wife giving me rides home in the back seat of her car, because we lived over on Drew Avenue, and I'd get in the back seat and she'd, with my crutches, and she'd take me home as my chauffeur at night. So no, I want to get it done. Listen, okay. I'm at the point, where you try to be, we all do, try to be proactive when things start going wrong for you. But if it's an elective thing or something that's going to make you better, I'm all in favor of it, because I plan on sticking around for quite a while. I got a great wife right now, a great life that I want to enjoy to the best of my ability and our ability. So that's why next up, getting this done.
All right. Well, good. I'll be
ready to go.
Back and running around, ready to go by football season.
Yeah, right. I got my own schedule getting ready for the Viking season. Yeah. We'll be getting into that. So again, thanks to all our sponsors. Thank in particular Frank Vascellaro, and thank you for listening to Rosen Sports Monday.